Welcome to episode 5 of the Two Chicks Homestead podcast. I'm Nate.
And I'm Erin, and we talk about homesteading and living on a small piece of land.
Tonight's episode is going to be about homeschooling.
And while we're talking about that, I want to point out that this is now the third episode that we're doing after bedtime.
Yes.
But the first two we did when the kids were at Grandma and Grandpa's, and now these last three have been strategically done
After the girls go
to bed. And it's also really windy tonight, so if you hear lots of noises,
yep.
We just sit here at our old creaky dining room table. So
Yep.
It's nothing fancy.
Right next to the leg lamp.
Yeah.
Right in the dining room. So it's definitely windy outside tonight. We got 30 to 50 mile an hour winds. We got stuff flying around all over the place outside. So there might be some storms rolling through, so we'll see how it goes from here. So if you hear anything, that's what it is.
Yep.
All right, now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the topic.
So I wanted to start off with just a little disclaimer and just say we know that homeschooling isn't for everyone. Not everyone wants to do it. We're not doing this to persuade anyone or talk bad about the school or public school, government school, whatever you want to call it. We kind of just want to go through how we came to this decision, how it works for us, talk about some realities that we have, that it's, not always perfect, and just kind of talk about how it works in our family.
That works for me. So yeah, school for me was never really sunshine and rainbows. It's, every kid has fun, like 1st through 5th grade. That's your pretty standard thing. You learn a few things here and there, and you have fun, and you make a whole bunch of friends. And once I got into middle school, that's really when I started having some problems. Grades weren't exactly the greatest. I was getting suspended from school a lot for getting into fights. The silver lining in that is I would go to school with my mom, who was also a teacher, and I'd sit in her office because I couldn't be at home alone. We live in Illinois. And I'd go to school with her, sit down in her office, and she'd have a boatload of history movies, like all the old school documentaries that you get off the History Channel. And I went down that rabbit hole. And was always my favorite thing is, hey, I get to go to school with my mom, so I get to watch a whole bunch of history movies.
You get to learn what you wanted to learn.
Exactly. I got to learn everything I wanted to learn. And then once I got into high school, I definitely will admit I had a little bit of a drug issue. I've been clean and sober for many, 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 many years. It's been probably about 20 years so far. So that's, definitely a good thing. But yeah, high school, I definitely had a lot of problems. Didn't really have a lot of friends. The friends I did have were not good friends. And the administration in the school that I was going to also realized what crowd of kids we were all, and definitely looked down upon us and just generally did not make it fun for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had the opposite experience. I pretty much grew up in Mayberry, and I mean, not really, but it was pretty close. I had a generally good experience during school, other than being an introvert, which now I know that word. Back then, I never heard that, but the social aspect was overwhelming, but I really enjoyed learning and, always had fun doing all the projects and stuff at school. So really, I always pictured my kids going to school. Like, before we even had kids, I just pictured them learning about the rainforest, and making crafts, and me going to be able to see all the stuff they did and talk to their teachers. And so homeschooling was not something that was in my radar, as I was, getting to parent age.
Mm-hmm.
it really was when we had our first is when
Right.
it got brought up. And I want to point out that now I see in all of the homeschooling groups I'm in, probably 99% of the time, it's the mom posting, how can I convince my husband that I want to homeschool?
Right.
And it was completely opposite for us.
Right.
Nate was the one that brought it up, and I remember sitting there holding a newborn going, you are nuts. Let me get through this phase first before you're talking about, being home forever.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I'm not going to hide the fact that I am a high school dropout with a general education diploma. I got as far as I got in high school thanks to my parents. Had it not been for them, I don't know what would have happened. But I got as far as I did with their help, and I just realized it wasn't for me, and it was time to move on. And I'm sure it wasn't the greatest thing to do at that point in time, but you know what? It's working out right now.
Yep. You're successful.
Mm-hmm.
We have a house. Our family is happy. We have food in the freezer. I mean,
yep.
Nothing could have changed that.
I have done a lot of things to make sure we have what we need here, and a lot of it is spending many, 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 many hours at work.
Yes. And we appreciate it. I don't know when I decided that this was a good idea. I think it just kind of... Nate got the ball rolling in my head,
mm-hmm.
and I had many hours where I was up with a baby.
Right.
And I think I spent 4 years researching,
mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out this was a good idea. And then school age hit, and it was like, I guess we're doing it.
Yep.
Because now we're officially homeschooling.
Yep.
But by the way, researching ahead of time makes absolutely no difference. I probably wasted more hours doing that than anything else because it didn't help me at all.
Oh, absolutely.
By the time I got here. I mean, until you're doing it, you have no idea.
Right.
Like, everything changes all the time.
Right. And I know one of the deciding factors was also the fact that you didn't go back to work.
Yeah. It was not a financial...
No.
Decision for me to go to work. I think we would have lost money.
Yeah, I mean, I still have the number stuck in my head when we lived in the first house. Had we put the kid, our oldest through daycare, we would have had $20 extra a month
mm-hmm.
before we even put gas in your car.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, nope.
It was a pretty easy decision. So, our decision to do this was purely personal. We have nothing against teachers. Mm-hmm. We have nothing against, school in general. This was it just seemed like a good decision for us.
Right.
And we had some family members. We were the first ones in mm-hmm. both of our families to homeschool, and we kind of had a little bit of questioning, mm-hmm. like, why do you want to do this? And then my parents retired mm-hmm. and moved out by the Mississippi River. And I think it was when they realized that we could just pick up on a Tuesday and head out there for a couple days, that this probably wasn't a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
That, we didn't have to wait for spring break or only in summer. It could be anytime.
Yep. It could be middle of December, and you're going to sneak out there before we get a snowstorm.
Right. Yep. Yeah, so just, having all of that extra time is amazing for us all.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean there are bad days.
Right.
I'm going to blow your mind. Homeschooling parents still need breaks.
Yes.
Just because we decided to homeschool does not mean that we want to be with our kids 24/7. I know that's gonna be a surprise. Yep. Because I have so many friends that think that we are just sitting here in our frilly dresses, drinking tea, and only reading classic books, and that we never turn the TV on, and they don't play on their iPads. They do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because sometimes I need to get some stuff done.
Yeah, exactly. And the TV, well, yes, they get to watch their shows, and yes, they will kill an iPad. The battery on the iPad a day.
There are just days where it's like everyone just needs to veg, and kids need that. I mean, we pretty much unschool, but not radical unschooling,
right?
Which is that's a little much for us.
Yeah,
that means like there's no rules.
Oh, the girls definitely have rules.
I mean, that means that they go to bed whenever they want, they eat whatever they want whenever they want, as far as I can tell. Now, I am not an expert, but from what I have researched, we are not radical unschoolers. I kind of like to think that we're life schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, they learn fractions by baking.
Yeah.
We learn about animals by going out in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
They learn about fishing from our neighbor. I mean, it's just whatever they're interested.
Mm-hmm.
We find somebody that's just doing it.
Absolutely.
And that's how they learn it. Behind me, I have shelves of curriculum.
Yes.
That has probably 3 years worth of dust on them.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen them move.
Because it just doesn't feel right.
Right.
And it's weird and hard because I like worksheets. Me personally, I always liked worksheets in school. I want to sit there and look at a book and read it and fill out the answers. My kids are complete opposite.
Right.
So there are a lot of times where I feel like I'm failing because they don't want to do that and they're supposed to do that, according to society. And yet they're still learning. I mean, my 8-year-old reads fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
she does.
And she can write. She hates writing, but she could do it. But we kind of fixed that we got her a pen pal.
Yeah.
I had a pen pal when I was younger in France, and one of her sisters has a daughter that's the same age as our oldest, and so they're pen pals.
Yep.
So sometimes I can get her to write a letter, but it's kind of like pulling teeth.
Yeah, well, that's standard. She got that from me. I hate writing.
Yeah.
That was always my hard thing.
I always liked it, so maybe they'll get it eventually. But the next thing is we're going to try typing.
Yeah.
And see if, she needs to learn how to type because that's, computers are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do that next. But my little one, she's a firecracker.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we would probably be doing more if she was not around.
Probably.
And that kind of comes to one of my next things is I posted on social media asking if anyone had any questions about homeschooling. And I got some really good questions, and I realized that I have no idea. Like, I don't know the answer to any of these questions. The first one was, how do you cover all of the grades and the ages of siblings and make sure they're all doing the correct things? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. My little one hates everything.
Yep.
I mean, she is just like this little grumpy troll that barges in and doesn't want to read, doesn't want to write, doesn't like coloring. And it's just a mess. It's chaos all the time.
Yeah, but she'll come and help you in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, she loves baking. She loves going outside and playing, and that's just what she needs right now.
And when she's ready to, sit down and do numbers and write
Yeah,
stuff.
and there are times
We'll do
where,
that.
yeah, once in a while she'll be like, okay, I want to do this. And it's like, okay. And I go through days where it's like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to teach her anything. And then there's a meme that I see posted all the time that starts out with, you know, Mommy, what if we're behind? And then it says, behind who? And it's like, oh yeah, I really have no baseline on. I wasn't given an instruction manual,
Right.
you know, so I'm following them, and they're not behind because they're the line. They're where they're supposed to be.
It's kind of like the old joke that I remember you sharing when you're breastfeeding way back when, it goes, yeah, you can breastfeed your kid or you can give your kid formula, but as soon as they hit 5, they're still eating that stale French fry off the floor of your truck.
Yeah, and that's how the research went. You know, I did all this research. I had perfectly homeschooled kids while I was,
researching it,
dealing with an infant. Like it was perfect. And then they became those homeschooled kids that were like, wait, this isn't what I planned. And yet they're happy and healthy and they know a ton of stuff. They're super smart.
Yeah, oh yeah. The one thing that I have noticed the most with the girls is they are not afraid to go talk to somebody.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing.
So we have a lot of neighbors around us. We have one neighbor next door who helps us out with a lot of stuff. And he has commented many times at how mature our kids are. Because they will have zero issues walking. If they see him outside, they have zero issues going over and just talking to him.
Hey, what are you doing right now?
Yeah. How are you? What are you doing in there? What's going on? Is there something we can help with? And it blew his mind when they did that the first time. It's like, these kids are homeschooled? That's awesome. The fact they're willing to come over and talk to an adult.
Right. And yet, so an adult thinks that they're mature, and yet they're their age. Like, there's a lot of times where we'll go hang out with the public school kids in the neighborhood, and I'll see, kids around their age, and they act very adult in a way that I think because they're told what to do. I really don't know how to explain it. And I look at my kids and I think, oh gosh, they're acting so silly. Like, oh my gosh, around these other kids.
Yeah.
But they have no one to keep up with.
Yeah.
They don't need to act cool and, have the best clothes and come home and be like, my hair is bad because Sally has amazing hair and she told me that my hair wasn't good.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this is a good thing. Like, sometimes I just, cover my face like, I don't know what they're doing. They're acting this way. But at the same time, it's like, they're acting how they are.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they get pretty much free range outside to go run around, do what they want to do. We've given them GMRS radios. We do have a GMRS license for the two-way radios. And we tell them, if you guys want to go down the lane or go for a walk, just let us know. We'll give you the radios and you can let us know if there's a problem. And I mean, they're not going more than a quarter mile away from the house.
Right.
So, they can kind of do what they want to do. They can go play outside. They can walk down to the pond if they want. I mean, they walked up the street towards the creek that we have out there to go fishing with some friends. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. One of the other questions I got was, how do you know you're doing enough and how do you ease your anxiety? Again, I have no idea because I personally never feel like we're doing enough and I always have anxiety. So even if we were doing enough, I think every parent about something feels like they're not doing enough.
Right. We live in Illinois, which is homeschooling is probably the best thing Illinois has going for itself.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
That is really what I will say. A lot of people say you guys need to get out of Illinois.
And we agree.
I agree. But the homeschooling aspect of it is neither of our kids have ever set foot in a school. The school district doesn't need to know they exist. There's no paperwork we have to fill out. We have to go check in with somebody.
There's no testing.
Right. There's no required testing. There's no nothing.
We don't have to be under an umbrella.
Right.
Which when we were looking at Tennessee, it was like, what the heck is an umbrella school?
Right. So, I mean, literally, at this point in time, the way it sits right now in 2022, early March, our kids are our kids when it comes to school.
Yeah.
The school district has no say so. Now, Illinois has tried to force us to deal with DCFS at times, where DCFS can come in your house and check on your kids and make sure you're not abusing your kids, which I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole at how wrong that is, because they don't do that with school kids, so whatever. But yeah, that's about the only hot take you're going to get from me right now on the school district.
Because it is, in our heads, we think of, Tennessee, Missouri, Iowa as like, those are the freedom states.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start going, well, we should check the homeschooling laws.
Yeah.
And it's like, it may not even be a lot.
Right.
Like, maybe when you're doing it, it's just normal and you just do it. But it's like, holy cow, you actually have to, like, do stuff. Like, we keep records just because I like to have, something written down. But to have to keep records for, like, to hand in is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I think it was Iowa that required you to actually have your teaching degree.
Yeah, I do. I think it is.
I would have to double check that. So far, the way it's looking is Tennessee would be the next best for us. Maybe Missouri, and then Iowa would be...
I'd love to hear more if anyone has, personal experience homeschooling in Iowa.
Yeah.
To give us feedback on what that actually means. Because Iowa has always been...
on our list.
Our number one
Yeah.
place to go. And then it was like, oh, darn it. What the heck does that mean?
Exactly.
So we've always homeschooled. And then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And by homeschooling, I mean non-government schooling. We were hardly ever home. We were doing something almost every day. Going to co-op, going to museums, going to the store.
Right.
Just to get out and, have them be out in the world. And then COVID hit, and obviously everything shut down.
Yep.
And I can't even count how many times people have said, oh, you were homeschooling already, so nothing changed for you, huh? And it's like, really?
Everything changed.
Everything changed. It wasn't just the schools. I mean, we were home. Yeah. That was it. I mean, just like with everybody else.
Yep. We were home and trying to figure out what we're going to do with the kids to have fun, because they couldn't go to the museums anymore. They bugged us and begged us to go to Burpees up in Rockford. Mm-hmm. They love that museum.
Yeah, we were up there a lot.
Yeah,
even though it is Rockford.
Yeah, we had the membership up there. Same with the one that's next door, the one that has all the water.
Discovery.
Yeah,
Children's Discovery.
Yep, they love those two. We had the membership to the zoo, and then we had the membership to the Museum of Science and Industry.
Yeah.
They love the Museum of Science and Industry.
I love the Museum of Science and Industry. I mean, once we got a membership to that, it was like we were royalty. Like,
Yeah.
that was like top of the line
Yep.
museum.
And that was the only museum I'd go downtown to because you physically pulled it into the parking garage that was attached to the museum, and
Yep.
you didn't have to go out in the street.
Or pay for parking.
Which
would be just as much as the tickets.
Yes, if not twice as much.
But yeah, so once that hit, I mean, everything changed for us too. I mean, and it was just completely different.
Yeah.
And then that was the next time when I realized that this is what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Like, I always felt, for, the whole time before that if it ever got to where I didn't want to do this or it really wasn't working, there was always school. I mean, if they wanted to do it, which they really only ever wanted to ride the bus, because of course, I think this is a conspiracy.
Yes.
That the bus stop is right in front of our house.
Yes, it is.
The homeschoolers in the whole block, it's right in front of our house. And they wanted to go play on the playground.
Yes.
Because every time we drove past a school, they'd be outside for recess. And they'd be like, oh, that's all they do at school is play at the recess. And it's like, that was probably 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We just happened to be going by then.
Yeah, they get like 15 minutes on recess after they, spend 15 minutes wolfing down their lunch, which is what I remember.
We don't know if that's really how it is.
Right. But that's what I remember. I remember I had 20 minutes to go get my food and eat my lunch.
Yes. And you still eat super fast.
Yes, I do. I was trained that way.
But once all this stuff hit, it was like, that's not even an option anymore. It just got where we were the weird homeschoolers.
Mm-hmm.
It's flipped around, and public school was like, ooh, that's weird. Like, everything was opposite.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
And also, remote learning from the public school is not homeschooling.
No, it's not.
I had so many people tell me, oh, I'm homeschooling now. It's like, no, you're not. You're still connected to the district.
Absolutely. And that is... I know that is your big hot button issue. I know it drives you nuts.
I'm going to summon my spicy Amy with that one.
Go for it.
I can't stand when people say that, because it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's not at all.
Yeah.
So what have you noticed with the girls over the years? How have they grown?
So there are days where all they do is fight. Mm-hmm. And then there are days where my oldest will just out of the blue look at me and say, Mommy, if I had to go to school, I would be so sad because I would miss my sister. And that's the kind of days where it's like, wow, this is really bonding them. And it feels right.
Absolutely, it does.
And then there are also days where it's like they need to get away from each other, but it's all about balance. I mean...
Yeah, for a long time we would send our oldest out to the grandparents, and the youngest would hang out here for a couple of days, and they get their peace and quiet and come back and start over. But now it seems like that's starting to change, and the youngest is starting to go out to grandma and grandpa's. So we'll be interested to see how that works.
Now we get our time away.
Exactly.
But, I mean, just seeing them now, especially with all of the animals and stuff that we have outside, when people come over, we just had a neighbor come over and she wanted to learn about chickens. I probably could have just stayed in the house and had our oldest and our youngest talk about everything that you are supposed to do. I mean, it was just, she knew everything, and I never sat down with a book and told her, this is how you take care of chickens, or this is how you do this with rabbits, or whatever. She just knew it. Yeah. And it was kind of neat, because it's like, you do listen. Yeah. To me.
She listens when she wants to listen.
Yep.
And
that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's anybody. I'm the same way, you're the same way.
Yep.
It's the way it is.
Yep.
she's taken to a lot of the stuff with the animals outside and being able to help with that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, going to stores, she always wants to talk to the cashier, and the cashier is usually like, But I don't get with a question anymore of like, is there any school today?
Right.
Just, I think because COVID, I mean, now maybe kids are in school.
Yep.
But we haven't really gone shopping that often lately anymore.
All right. So I'm going to throw another hot button question at you, and you can summon your spicy Amy on this one.
Okay.
How are our kids going to socialize?
They leave the house and they go to the store. I mean, seriously. You go to school and you're told not to talk.
Exactly.
And, you know, all day long, except for lunch and passing period and recess, it's like, don't talk. Don't look at each other.
Right.
I don't get it. Why is that always the first thing that people ask?
And I'm going to go down the rabbit hole on this one. If your kid has been going to school for the past 2 years, they've been wearing a mask and not smiling or talking to their friends in school.
It is pretty scary to think about these kids later on. And I mean, I have a lot of friends who said their kids don't want to take the masks off because they're more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll let you guys decide.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is. That's the nice thing about living here is everyone can do what they want and make their best decisions, and it really doesn't hurt us.
No, it doesn't.
If they choose that, but
it
is a little scary.
Yeah, we're gonna do us, and you guys can do yourself.
Yep.
So, Erin, I know our oldest is going to be 9.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
Grade school, air quotes.
I don't really even know what grade she's in. I want to say 3rd.
Yeah.
I think
that sounds
technically
about right. Yeah.
She's in 3rd.
Yep. So 3rd grade, it's still middle of elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have middle school. I know it's a little ways out. What about high school?
I also get this question a lot. And I come back with, let me just get through this year. Like that's always been my answer is, I'm assuming so, unless, they come to us and say, we really want to go to school, then I think we would sit down and discuss it. It wouldn't just be an automatic, okay, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we're still the parent and we feel this is the best decision.
Right.
But we would always discuss it.
Yeah, you got to talk back and forth about it and see what's going to work out best. And just take one day at a time. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the only way you're going to be able to get through it. Go day by day, week by week. If it's still working, you'll be amazed how quick it goes.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I have an almost 9-year-old. I mean,
right.
I feel like we just started this.
I know. That we started really in this house.
Yeah.
So that would have been 4 years ago when she was 5. That'd be technically kindergarten age.
Yeah.
So yeah, she should be in 3rd right now.
Yeah. And we've now finally found a co-op that we really like. Mm-hmm. That's doing like basic life skills. We just finished a whole, 2 months of like different kind of speeches. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what we're doing before that, but we did, CPR and learning about medical EMT type stuff before that. But we went through a couple different co-ops, and they never worked out until this one.
Right. You definitely got to find the one that works.
You do. You. I mean, you got to click with the people. You kind of have the same goal, or kind of need to have the same goal.
Right.
And there's a lot of co-ops out there that don't. fit.
Right. I mean, our youngest, her last speech was teaching kids how to make hot chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah, my oldest did how to tack a horse, which is something that she learned on her own.
Yep.
Her aunt has a horse, but she basically just learned on her own, watching videos and reading books. I mean, I don't know how to tack a horse.
Yeah, it's been years
And
since
I
I've
mean,
done it.
and it's not something that she sees like. It's not like we go out to our barn and tack our horse. We don't have a horse.
Right.
So, I mean, that's another really cool thing is just to see the stuff that they're interested in, and that you may see it more that when you come home they're like, "Hey,
yeah,
we did this," or I've probably already heard about it 10 times.
Yeah, exactly. I usually get bombarded with the iPads as soon as I walk in the door. Hey, look at this picture I did.
Yep.
Here's the new game I got.
Yeah. That happens too, but it's all about balance. So during one of our trips to the library here, we just happened to find a book called This Is My Home, This Is My School by Jonathan Bean. And I took it out and I'm like, this probably isn't at all what I'm thinking it's going to be. So we check it out and come home and we start reading it. And it's about a homeschooling family that in the book that was before that one, they were building their new house. But, it's kind of going through like, this is where I live and this is where, we do school. And my mom takes us to field trips into the library and art. And, I mean, the first time we read it, just seeing my oldest's face go, this is like us. This is a book about what we do. And it was really cool. We went out and bought both books immediately. And, I mean, we read it probably twice a week for bedtime. It's just one of those amazing books. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But it really kind of helped them realize that, okay, we're not just the only people in the whole world that do this.
Right, absolutely. And that's the one thing I like about building the other book, Building Our House.
Yeah.
It starts off there as the family's building their house out in the country, their homestead.
They live in an RV at the time, and they're both true stories. I mean, there's real pictures at the end.
Yep. And then you get to This Is My Home, This Is My School, and it's real life.
Yeah.
The substitute teacher's dad walking in the door to play, and the PE teacher, and that's kind of the stuff we do here too.
Yep. Yeah, we both kind of have, and we haven't really gotten there yet, but I mean, like, we know that when we're really ready to get into history, that's you. Yeah. Like, you're going to be the history person. And
that's the stuff I'm good at.
Right.
I've learned that stuff. Math is not my strong suit.
Me neither. So they're kind of screwed.
English is not my strong suit either.
That's why we have books.
Exactly.
But yeah, the other nice thing about homeschooling is it doesn't all have to take place during the day. I mean, we do it whenever it fits. At night, on the weekends. I mean, it's not like, we're doing school on the weekends and, they're all bummed out. I mean, it's just, it's not even brought up. It's just, we do stuff. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, they're still in their pajamas. Right. And if we get to the point where it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they don't want to do anything, I'm not going to force them to do it. Yep, that's when I do all my stuff that I want to do. Exactly. Then we switch it to Monday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Or just Saturday and Sunday when I'm home. Yep. If they want some quiet time on their own to hang out and have fun together, I'm okay with that. Yep. They're showing their ability to learn stuff, and that's the most important thing. Right. And just, respecting that everybody needs downtime. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And they're still learning. They're learning how to work together. Right. And reality is you never stop learning. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what age you are always learning how to do something. I mean, we're still learning. Yeah. Right now I'm studying for my ham radio extra license, and I know you're studying for the technician. Yes. So. And this is probably the first thing that I have ever studied since school. Like, sitting
Right.
down and reading books, and I feel like my brain's going to explode, but
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yep. It's fun. You got to learn something every once in a while.
Yeah.
But that's how you and I have been, is the past 3 years, we've not stopped learning how to do stuff in this house.
Yeah. And the things that we learned in school is not really applying
No.
now. I
It's
mean,
not.
I don't. Some of the stuff I was interested in at the time, but I don't remember it now.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to throw out a really good video from way back when. We'll put this one in the show notes.
Okay.
Boy in a Band. Do you remember that video? I sent that thing to you like 7 years ago.
He's got the black hair and the red streak.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Boy in a Band, don't stay in school.
Yep.
Everybody needs to watch that video.
Yeah.
Just watch it. And it's going to make you kind of understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You don't need to know all this book stuff. You just got to live life.
Yeah. And there are things that we know they have to know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have to know how to read.
Right.
They have to know how to write cursive.
Right.
That's stuff that it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. They've, main reason to read cursive, you got to be able to read the documents that were founded for this country.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Yeah.
know what your rights are. Yeah, somebody spelled it out, but if you can't read those original documents, how do you know that's the case?
Right, then you're just trusting someone that's, to tell the truth.
Exactly. So thanks for hanging out with us while we talk about all this stuff together. It's been fun. Yeah. Thanks for letting us give you the walk down our road of homeschooling, and hopefully it helps you guys out. You can always shoot us an email at info@twochickshomestead.com. And you can find us on Float. You can find us on Facebook.
Yep, we'll have all these links
Yep.
in the...
We'll have all of our social links down at the bottom, and you can always check us out, and we'll continue the conversation there if you want.
Yep, and I just want to say a general thank you to everybody that's been listening. I mean, I think we're gaining as much out of this as anybody who's listening. I mean, just to sit and chit-chat about all these things together has been really cool. And so we appreciate also that so many people are taking the time. I mean, I know we are all very busy.
Yes, everybody is extremely busy a lot of times. And
we appreciate you taking some time and listening to us be awkward.
Yes, we do appreciate all of our listeners out there, and we thank you, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Catch you guys next time.
All right, see you on the homestead, where something is always growing, eating, or cooking. And in this case, learning.